Madam. That's me. How are you this afternoon? I'm doing fine. Okay, thank you for joining me today. I would like to ask you a few questions based on your experience on substance abuse. Okay, my first question is, can you tell me a little about your life before you start using substances?
Before I started using substances, I was really active. I loved playing basketball and I was actually on my Central Secondary School team. It wasn't just about the game. It was about feeling a part of something or being a part of something. Working hard with my teammates, pushing myself to be better. After games and practices, we just joked around, grabbed food together, and being fit and healthy was very important to me, and I took pride in taking care of my body. Back then, I thought even was going to college on a sports sponsorship.
Okay, so what substances did you use and how did your use begin?
I started with alcohol in high school. At first, it was just at parties or hanging out with my friends. Everyone around me was drinking, so it seemed like a fun way to fit in. Over time, though, drinking became a regular part of my life, especially when I felt stressed or down. Then, in college, I tried other things like pills and marijuana, mostly out of curiosity or when I felt anxious or overwhelmed. Eventually, it wasn't a social activity anymore. I began to rely on it to feel okay, and it slowly became a habit that I couldn't control.
Can you describe how your daily life changed during your period of substance abuse? Substance.
I started missing work here and there. I told myself it was just like one day. Then I catch myself up later that those days turned into 5 or 6. My boss noticed, and also my coworkers. They started keeping their distance away from me. My phone used to be buzzing with messages from friends making plans and checking in, and it grew quiet. I was either pushing people away or they just gave up reaching me. Eventually, I lost my job and also got put out of my house.
Did you experience any physical or mental health issue related to your substance use?
I used to be active and a healthy person, but since I started using substances, my body started breaking down. I had constant fatigue. Even simple tasks I felt exhausting to do it or exhausted to do it. My appetite dropped and I lost a lot of weight. I even got sick more than often. Every time it took me longer to recover from my sickness or illness. I know my health was suffering, but I couldn't stop it, or I didn't know how to stop it at that time. Mentally, I was just as bad, if not worse. I started feeling anxious and paranoid, like everyone was judging me or talking behind my back about how I'm looking or what I'm doing. Some days I felt so down that getting out of bed felt like I was drowning. I lost all my motivation and stopped doing the things that I used to love.
What was the turning point for you that led you seek help or decide to quit?
My turning point was one night I was supposed to meet with my little sister for dinner. She had been one of the few people that still reach out to me, even though after I let her down so many times. I thought I could have just used a little more or just a little before meeting her. When I'm saying a little, I'm talking about substance. Before meeting her. But I lost track of time and end up having her to wait for hours. The next morning, I called to apologize, and she said she loved me, but didn't know how much longer she could watch me go down this path. Her words hit me extremely hard. I realized I was hurting the persons who still cared about me, and that's when I knew I needed help.
What role did support from friends or family play in your recovery journey?
When I first entered recovery, I didn't believe I could have stayed sober for long. I tried before and always end up going back where I started. But this time, my friend and my family really stepped it up. My family, well, particularly my mom, would even call me every day to check in and see how I was doing, even on the days when I didn't feel like talking. My best friend offered me to go on little dates so I won't feel alone. There were days that I wanted to give up, but knowing that I had people supporting me in all different shape and form, my family helped me rebuild routines and then even celebrate the smallest victory. For example, going or not drinking for a day or an hour. That was the little victory that, or the little encouragement that reminded me that I was not doing this alone and kept me motivated and keeping pushing forward.
Okay, that is very sad. Okay, come back to the question. Look back. What do you wish you had known before you start using substances?
Well, looking back, I wish I have known how quickly things could have spiraled out of control. I started using substances thinking it was just fun or harmless, a way to relax or escape things when getting tough. I never thought I would become dependent or think that I could never live without it. I wish I have known how it would affect my relationships, my health, my sense of self. If I understood the real cause of that escape, I might have made different choices, or at least recognized the warning sign before it got out of control.
Oh, okay, I understand. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. How was your life changed since you began your recovery journey?
Since I started my recovery journey, my life has been changed in many ways I never thought would be possible. For one, I felt like I'm finally in control of my life again. I wake up each morning with a clear head instead of being weighed down by guilt or shame or feeling the need to take a sip of alcohol. I feel proud of my progress. My relationships have been improved a lot. I reconnected with my family members and friends who have lost in touch with. We are rebuilding trust. I also started focusing on things I enjoyed, like going to the gym and painting, which helped me feel positive and motivated. I even start setting new goals for my career. Things I used to think were out of my reach or were impossible. Every day isn't perfect, but I feel hopeful about the future than before.
Oh, it's got to be hopeful. Okay, last question. How can society better support individuals dealing with substance abuse issues?
Society could help persons or support persons dealing with substance abuse by increasing access to affordable treatment or recovery resources or therapy. Many persons who need help can't afford rehab or therapy, so expanding health fundings for these services could make a huge difference or impact. Also, we need to address the stigma about addiction or around addiction. When people feel judged or ashamed, they are less likely to reach out for help. Educated programs could help the public understand the addiction is a health condition or a medical condition, not a moral failure. Additionally, communities could create more safe space and support programs for people in recovery, like sober social events or just job training programs for these persons who are trying to rebuild their life. By showing this empathy or practicing resources, we create a society where people feel supported, loved, and important, even though they are going down the wrong path.
Okay. Thank you, madam. Thank you for being here. This is the end of the interview, and thank you once again for your patience and honesty.